Ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking to build yourself a brand new gaming PC right now, you've come to the right place, because throughout this video we're going to go through the very best gaming PC parts that you can get at all different budgets and price points to help you build the perfect gaming PC that's tailored for you. It's going to be exciting, it's going to be informative, and it's going to be right after a short word from this video's sponsor. Intel Gamer Days is back for 2025, and it's a great time to upgrade your battle station. There are huge savings to be had on devices powered by Intel, with crazy high frame rates delivered by the second generation of Intel Core Ultra mobile CPUs, with greater power efficiency for longer battery life and quieter operation. If you're more team desktop, then Intel is also discounting its Core Ultra lineup here too, letting you game on up to 24 cores for less. Intel has also partnered with EA on the upcoming Battlefield 6, and those buying a qualifying Intel laptop or CPU can get a copy of the game for free when it launches later this year. Check out the Intel Gamer Days deals for yourself by clicking the link down below. Welcome back then, folks, and without further ado, let's get this show started. And the best place to start, I think, is going to be Newegg in the States, but we're going to leave our global links to everything with our affiliate links down in the description below, or we'll also leave them as a pinned comment. And I want to start actually at the budget end of things, and I'm really excited to say that GPU prices have come down considerably since we did these videos like a few months ago. And there's actually also a new offering on the table that I think a lot of people are going to lean towards. This is an RTX 5050. It's a very, very lazy launch from Nvidia. Nothing to get excited about. It's kind of not really dissimilar to an RTX 4060 from last year. It's like side-by-side gaming. Most people essentially would feel that this was the same thing. The main compromise here really is that it's an 8GB card, which in terms of VRAM is going to be fine for 1080p gaming in most games today, but as we go further into the future, and if you want to play games at higher settings that require a large amount of VRAM, so things like ray tracing, but in particular actually just resolution and textures, you're going to find that 8GB of VRAM is going to be a little bit of a compromise even now, let alone obviously throughout the lifespan of this graphics card. But it's supposed to be around about $250, and surprisingly, it actually is. Like, you've got this MSI option here for $250, this Asus Dual for $250, and obviously you do get all of the Nvidia features, so things like their DLSS 4 technology, which is very good when it comes to super resolution, not so amazing when it comes to frame gen, but certainly is worth considering. But personally speaking, the way I would probably go, especially if you are in the States, is actually with an Intel card. So you've got two, you've got the B570 and the B580. Both of these actually have more VRAM, so you can see the B570 is a 10GB graphics card, whereas the B580 is a 12. Let's be honest, everyone here would much rather have the B580. There's not actually supposed to be that much difference in price. In the UK, that kind of holds true. In the States, it's getting better, but there's still a fair bit of a premium on the B580, and I think a lot of this is just because it has more VRAM, but it does also have more performance as well. $230 for a 10GB graphics card, loads of performance that's going to be great for 1080p, and actually a fair bit of 1440p gaming as well. You can do ray tracing on it, but realistically you're probably just going to turn it off. But for a starter PC, I think this is going to be an awesome choice. And then, ladies and gentlemen, once we've done this, we can start to talk about CPUs. And of course, this is really important. Your graphics card is always the most important. But in 2025, the processor's not actually that far behind, especially in games like Battlefield 6 that are really intense. You need to make sure you have a great CPU. And to be fair, there's quite a lot of good options at all territories, right? So most people are thinking the best gaming CPU in the world is the 9800X3D, that's the one I need, but actually very few people need that. You only really need that if you're going for like an RTX 5070 Ti and up, something like that, right? So something more modest is going to be absolutely fine, because what you're trying to do is like pair the graphics card with a CPU that's kind of similar in performance, rather than spending way too much money on one component and then finding that this one is still holding you back. Whereas if you kind of spent a bit less and a bit more, they kind of balance out and your overall frame rate is actually higher. The way I would probably go is for one of these, a Ryzen 5 7600, 185, and you do actually get a CPU cooler inside the box. That's not amazing, but it's decent enough. This is just going to be the best all-round option, I'd say. But if you did want to save money, then the other option is one of these, a 14400F. This one actually comes with Battlefield 6 as well. It's actually got more cores, so you might find in some tasks it could actually be better, but generally speaking for gaming, this is not quite as good, but obviously it is cheaper. And once you've factored in like the cost of DDR4 memory and like motherboards and things, you might find that you can actually get a much cheaper system by going for the 14400F. And if it's not the CPU that's holding you back, it's the graphics card anyway, then obviously this is going going to make a lot of sense. So let's add this to our basket. Once we've done that, we can then start to talk about motherboards. Always really exciting, and the websites love to try and sell you these really expensive motherboards, and it makes PC gaming look frankly ludicrous because everything's super expensive. You don't need one of these. You just essentially need a budget-friendly board that supports all the features that you need, which actually for most people is just the CPU and actually having Wi-Fi. And if you don't need Wi-Fi, you don't need Wi-Fi. So we don't need X870, so let's filter this to B850, and then let's see what we have. So we have an offer at the moment, $10 off. This one from ASRock, and if you are looking at a budget-friendly board, it's quite often micro ATX, so this is great if you want a smaller system, but if you buy a full-size case, it's gonna look a little bit weird because you've got a bit of an overhang at the bottom. You also see that you don't have like amazing cooling on the VRMs, but you're not going to be overclocking this. And this one as well only has 2 RAM slots, so I would avoid ones like this, even though it's probably going to be absolutely fine for what you need it for, because it is gonna be worth spending just that little bit extra. Got a Gigabyte B850M Gaming X, or you've got this one from ASRock, which is quite nice looking actually. This is full-size ATX, so you can have more slots for SSDs and things. And what about the I/O? Yep, loads of USB ports on that. Doesn't have Wi-Fi though. So instead, let's go back to this Gigabyte one. This does have Wi-Fi. Not got the same I/O, but should be good enough for most. Let's add this to our basket. In terms of cases, let's get this filtered to micro ATX and then have a look what we have. I mean, this is the one I use personally. I mean, it's $90, it's not cheap. But if you're going for like a real luxury build, this is awesome. Let's change this from low to high. We'll find these weird Zalman Cube cases. I haven't actually seen these before. And then we have this, and this is like tried and tested. We've used this quite a few times on the channel. Cooler Master Q300L, but crucially the V2 model. The V1 was not built particularly great at all, to be honest, but it was going to get you by. Whereas this one is constructed slightly better. It has USB-C on the front as well, and it's just a bit more modern. I love the way that even on this press picture, the graphics card has got like loads of sag. Am I imagining that? You'd think you'd do a better job for your press pick, wouldn't you? But I mean, for $40, I don't think you've got much to complain about. So let's add this to our basket. We go into our RAM section, we find the filters, change this to DDR5 6000, 32 gigabytes, and a CL of 30. And you'll typically find that your usual suspects, your G-Skills, your Corsairs, they're gonna be about $110, $120 or so. But if you are willing to save a bit of money, maybe if we go the RGB, then obviously you can save yourself a fair bit of cash. I mean, this Patriot memory, look, for $86 with RGB is absolutely not a bad shout. I mean, this is a good looking kit of memory, and as long as it is obviously going to work on your motherboard, it is compatible. You can never be 100% on the Expo or XMP profiles, but as long as your BIOS is updated to the latest version, usually you shouldn't have an issue. I think this is going to be a great shout. So let's add this to our basket for 86. Then let's have a look at our SSDs. We want 1 terabyte, PCI Gen 4. And then of course, lo and behold, we have a load of SSDs. Really easy to choose and filter through these at this level, essentially, because you're just comparing the speeds. So this one is up to 3500, so that one is out. This is up to 5000. This King spec is up to 4800. And this other King spec is even faster. Look, 7400, 6600. So let's go with this while it's on sale. And then of course, there's just one component left to go, and that is the power supply. Very easy to get right, very easy to get wrong. It's pretty straightforward though. Just go on the manufacturer's website of the graphics card, and this will give you a minimum wattage that they recommend for power supply for that particular GPU. Here you're going to be looking at 650 watts. I've got this from low to high, but please do your research before you buy any of these, because budget power supplies are not the sort of things you want to end up with a bit of a duff unit. Let's go to our friends over at PSU tier list. What about this one from Zalman, the Gigamax 600? Do a quick search on our tier list. There it is, Gigamax. And let's put it in tier C low end, which actually is what we're after really. And interestingly as well, look, there's only $6 difference between the 6 and the 700 watt. So I think that's a no-brainer that we should go for the 700 watt here and just make any PC upgrades that you do in the future easier. But do be warned that this is a non-modular power supply. So all of the cables are pre-attached and you can't get rid of them and swap them out. You'd have to replace the power supply or use extensions if you wanted to upgrade to prettier cables, or I don't know, something that comes out in the future. But that being the last component, this has finished this rig and it's brought us a grand total of $828.81 plus any extra applicable taxes. That's not too shabby. This is a lot of performance that you're going to get here. Make no sweat. That doesn't make sense. Make no bones about it. Honestly, the B570 is an awesome GPU. If you could step up to the B580, you get a little bit more and more VRAM, so obviously that is going to be the best case scenario if you can kind of stomach the extra $30, $40 or so. But this is a really awesome PC. As I say, 1440p gaming on this is going to be great. If you're going to play games like The Last of Us and you want to use like FSR or XeSS to upscale your game to get there, then you're going to be able to play at higher resolutions than you might think as well. I think you're going to get a PC that's going to be awesome today, awesome into the future, and while it's not the absolute cheapest, if you want to make this cheaper, as I say, swap it out for that 14400F, especially if it's kind of down nearer to the $100 mark, get a cheaper motherboard that's obviously compatible with Intel, and that would bring the price down by probably another $100 or so. Really not too shabby. But ladies and gentlemen, the time has come to do two things. Hop across the pond to the good old UK, where I came back from the States a couple of days ago, and it's already started raining. It's great to be home. But then also, we're going to move on to our mid-range system. And here, let me start by explaining the issue, because usually you'd be looking at the equivalent to one of these, which is an RTX 5060. And here you'll see that actually, for the most part, the pricing is pretty good, other than this clearly like placeholder price there. Unless overclockers are getting pretty greedy. Because I mean, £270 or so for something that is going to be very capable in a lot of games, especially for multiplayer, is great. But you'll notice all of these say 8 GB, 8 gigabytes. And at this sort of price point, you're now getting to the point where you've got the actual physical horsepower on the graphics card to run these high settings, but you're running out of VRAM. So you can do it, but you really can't do it at the same time, which is really frustrating, and NVIDIA have just basically cocked up the VRAM configurations. Personally speaking, I think they just got a bit greedy. They thought, oh, we can get away with 8 gig for another generation, and obviously there's been a lot of blowback, and frankly, I think they deserve it on this front. So instead, you're pretty much going to have to step it up to one of these, an RTX 5060 Ti 16 gig. And I think this is one of the better cards of this generation actually, because again, you've got loads of horsepower, and whilst the price is considerably more expensive, it is going to last considerably longer as well. And it should also give you better resale values when you do come to either trade it in or of course like sell it on eBay or something and upgrade. So you're looking at around about £400. So these have come down ever so slightly, but not really by much. I mean, this is probably the best bet. Look, it's also worth noting that you can buy this in an 8 GB version, but we absolutely do not recommend it unless you specifically only like play one game and you know that VRAM's not an issue, because it's just not really that future-proof. So we're going to go with this, but the other option is a 9060 XT 16 gig. Oh, and interestingly, actually, hang on a minute, hold the phone. This has now stabilized. The last time I was looking at these, they were a lot more expensive than they should have been. £330. That's really good. I actually want to go with this one that's from XFX. So we'll add that to our basket. And then once again, we can talk about CPUs. And the one I'm looking for here is going to be one of these, a 9700X. So in the UK, this is around about £270, and this is probably the best like all-round CPU really, specifically for gaming. It's 8 cores, but that's all you need really for a gaming chip. It's going to perform great in games like Battlefield and obviously anything else that you want to play. This time I do want to make sure that we get a full-size ATX board though. Oh, this is quite a good deal. I've been meaning to do a build with this for a while actually. Again, you can see it's a little bit bare bones. There's not too much on it. But this is their Gaming Plus motherboard. Yes, it does have Wi-Fi as standard. £150 or so, and obviously this will go with like a white or a black case, really depending on the rig that you're trying to do. So let's add this one to our basket, and then let's see if we can find ourselves a nice case for it, shall we? You can see overclockers do have a lot of cheaper cases. They're a little bit hit and miss, so I want to look for around about £70–80 or so. This MSI Mag Forge is probably a good option if you're trying to save money. I've built on this before, it was okay, but probably wouldn't do it again. Oh, but now look at this. Now we're talking two cool options actually. We've got this APNX Creator C1, but I really like Lee & Lee cases, and I've got this Lancal 215. So it's not the absolute biggest case in the world, and it's obviously not their most premium case, but it comes with RGB as standard. You can get it in this nice white color as well, which will go with the motherboard. The graphics card is black, which is a little bit annoying, but you can't win on everything. And it's got these massive 200mm fans at the front, so it should be nice and quiet. And for 60 quid, that is not too bad, is it? Yeah, let's go with this, 60 quid. Moving on to our RAM, pretty much the same story once again as our previous build. We're looking for 32 gigabytes, 6000 megahertz CL30. We've used this quite a few times actually on the channel. We've got some Team Grip Delta RGB. You can get it in black or white. Because we're going for this white motherboard, I'm going to go for white. We'll add that to our basket. I'm going to be incredibly boring, and in terms of cooling, this is by far the one that I recommend pretty much for everyone. This is the Arctic Freezer 36. It comes with 2 fans. It's really easy to install. I've used this countless times on the channel, and once again, you can get it in both white and black. So here we're going to get the white version and pretty much have an all white build. And then this time we are going to step it up slightly when it comes to storage, not in terms of speed, but actually in terms of capacity. So we're looking for 2 terabytes now. And actually this one is probably going to be our best bet. A T500, super fast read and writes, £132. Add that to the basket. Which of course just leaves us with one more component left to go. Once again, the power supply, exactly the same story as before, but this time we're going to step it up to 750. RM750X for 115, that's pretty good actually. Oh, or this one from Fantex, look, for £85, and that's modular, and that's gold. Wow, that seems to be really good actually. I mean, in a weird way, it's kind of in and out because it's not specifically listed per se, but all of the Fantex ones are B or above. But then weirdly, you have the AMP GH, which is what we're looking at, but the SFX version listed here, and that's in Bs. I think for £85, this is a steal. 750, as I say, is more than you're really going to need for this. So I'm happy to do this. Then we're going to go into our basket and reveal the grand total. We've got 8 components here, and it comes to £1,185, which is obviously a lot of money. It's a lot more than a PS5 Pro. But it's a gaming PC that's going to be able to do so much. It's very upgradable into the future. But then the main thing really with this is we've just upped the frame rate, we've upped the build quality, and the noise levels of the system should hopefully be better as well. As obviously we've got a case with those massive fans, and we have a proper CPU cooler now that has 2 fans on it. I'm really happy with this. Just see if we can get a white graphics card that will match this rig better if you want it to be perfectly themed. But I'm really happy. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. Once again, all of our affiliate links to this are located down below globally. Let's move on to the big behemoth with our high-end luxury rig. And ladies and gentlemen, for this, of course, we're going to have to come back to the States and let's reveal what we can get. So this is pretty much going to be a high-end rig that I personally would build for myself if I was going to build one today. So I think the card I would really want would be a 5070 Ti, because it has 16 gigabytes of VRAM, it has all of those NVIDIA technologies that, like them or loathe them, are still incredibly useful, and it's just a really nice complete solution. And obviously you've got loads of horsepower in this that you can pretty much play any game at any resolution, and as long as you're not specifically talking path tracing, usually any setting as well. The issue is though that these are still very overinflated and very expensive in the States. So you're looking at about $850, which is loads. So instead, let's see if the AMD offering has actually come down, and it has, look, there you are, $700 now. That is way better than what we used to get. And this is sold by Newegg as well. This isn't some like fancy import or something. The compromise with this is you don't get the NVIDIA features, but the good news is you get the FSR4, which, as I say, is awesome, and you don't even need to use it all the time. Because you've got loads of horsepower on this. You're just going to be shy of the performance of the 5070 Ti, generally speaking. You can find our full video in the top right corner of your screen to see a full side-by-side in a load of games, actually, to help you make this decision. But I think I would go for this, actually, and save myself around about $150. So let's do that. We'll then look at CPUs, and I think there's actually a deal on at the moment on the 7800X3D, which is still what I have in my personal rig. And again, if it's like $100 cheaper, I think it makes sense. Yeah, look, there's the newer version, $480 for the 9800X3D, but unless you're specifically going, I think, for a 5080 or 5090, it's not that you're not going to notice it in every single game. It's, I think, just generally speaking, you're not going to notice it in most games that you play. I mean, it might be that things like Battlefield, you are going to be CPU bound, so it might make sense to step it up to a 9800X3D. So let's add that to our basket for 384. Got a combo offer in a 990 Pro. I'm going to add that as well. What's the cooler they're giving us? Yeah, that's actually not too bad, an A13240. We can make use of that. Although it's the wrong color, isn't it? Oh, it's okay. They have one in black as well. Cool. No, my washing. My washing. Oh, British weather, eh? We're going to see if we can step up the motherboard to something slightly better. We've got a couple of options. We've got this X870 Eagle, a B850 Tomahawk. Oh, this Strix is quite nice, but that's white. Or we've got this tough B850, look. So quite a few good options. I mean, that's a little bit too bare bones, I think, for this kind of price point. I know it's obviously got more bandwidth and like USB 4, but I'm not going to use that. What about I/O? Is there much difference? Yeah, the I/O is definitely better on the tough. Let's go with the tough. Similar story this time with a memory, except this time we're going to go for 24 gigabytes per DIMM for a total of 48. Not everyone needs this, in fact probably most people don't, but a high-end rig for me personally, I'd want to do a whole lot more than just gaming. Viper Elite 5 Ultra, 48 gig, CL28 for 143. That's the best deal I think that we've seen all day. That's amazing. I will note though that actually looking at the reviews, it does seem that people have better success setting this to CL30 rather than CL28. Oh, and then this is going to be interesting. Case. Now, as I say, this is like a behemoth rig, so we can spend a little bit more on it, but that doesn't mean we need to spend $200 on a chassis just because we can. It's all about smart thinking and obviously getting something that's appropriate. And usually as well, the more you spend, the bigger it is. I get why a lot of people like the dual chamber. They're so easy to build in, but for me personally, I prefer my good old fashioned like large towers just because they're thinner and they sit in your desk a bit better. H9 flow for $100, yeah, that's a really good deal if you wanted to go for a dual chamber. A lot of people talk very highly about the Antec Flux Pro. Linley 011 Vision. Oh, this is a case I absolutely love. Now, as I say, this is supposed to be for me personally, so we're not going to go with this because I don't want such a big thing on my desk, but as long as you're happy to have like a fish tank, it's awesome. I love it. So is there anything else that is going to catch my eye? North XL for $180, or we've also got the Lancall 216RX, and we use this loads and loads of times. In fact, actually, true story, I had the earlier version of this, and we did so many builds with it on the channel that I thought it was getting boring, so I actually gave this to my parents. I built them a new PC, took it over, and I put it in my car, and I accidentally took some of the trim off the car because I kind of didn't have enough room for it, and I shut the door and it took a bit off, but I glued it back together, so it's fine. Let's go with this because I love it, and it actually comes with everything that you need as standard. It's very, very quiet. I put an Assassin 4 cooler with a 13700K in with my parents and got everything tuned with the front fans and everything, and it's awesome. As I say, you don't have to add anything to this. It's ready to go straight out of the box. So let's go with this. And then actually, I don't think that's too bad in terms of price. Oh, but it's not because we haven't added the power supply yet. I was going to say, I was getting a little bit too excited there, wasn't I? Right, what can we get? 850 watts this time. We've got quite a few different options. I like the MSI ones actually, the A850. This is, I think, the newer version, the GS. But let's get that added to our basket, shall we? And then reveal the grand total, which comes in at $1,825 plus applicable taxes. There'll be plenty of people saying, well, why don't you go for a 5080 or a 5090? Those have loads more performance, and it's true. But again, unless you're specifically wanting to turn on like path tracing in games, I just don't think it's worth spending the extra money for most people. If you've got loads of expendable income, like gaming is your passion, you do it all of the time, I get it, but I think most people would be better off going for something like this really, because it has all the performance that you need if you want to play games at 4K and you want to use upscaling and still have like really high frame rates, use ultra settings, all of that jazz. It's going to depend on the game, but generally speaking, this is going to be an awesome rig. Would love to hear your thoughts on it though. Let us know your thoughts down in the comment section below. All the affiliate links, as I say, are as global as we can do. They're located down below for all of these if you do want to check out current pricing, because obviously it changes all of the time. But please smash the like button if you've enjoyed this. Get yourself subscribed. Let us know your thoughts. And as I say, affiliate links to everything are listed down below.